Hey, what's going on, guys? This Saturday is UFC 297, Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis for the middleweight title, and this is going to be my full card predictions. I'm going to go through every single fight on the card and give you a quick breakdown and prediction, starting off with the first fight of the night, Malcolm Gordon versus Jimmy Flick. Grappler versus striker matchup. Jimmy Flick wants to get it to the ground. Malcolm Gordon wants to keep it standing. This is a coin flip fight. Both guys 33 years old. Both guys coming off 2 losses. Both got finished in their last 2 fights as well. But I'm going to go Jimmy Flick. I don't trust Malcolm Gordon's takedown defense at all. And I'm looking at Jimmy Flick's last 2 losses, and they're really not that bad. Alessandro Costa, I think, is a very underrated prospect in the flyweight division. Absolutely brutalized Jimmy Flick, but I think he's underrated in the division right now. Then the fight before that against Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson has decent takedown defense. It's not great, but also Jimmy Flick was coming back from like a 2-year layoff or over 2-year layoff going into that fight. So I think in this fight, Malcolm Gordon's the better striker, but it's not like leaps and bounds better. It's not like he's, world-class striker versus Jimmy Flick, who doesn't have the best striking. And I think Jimmy Flick will find a way to engage in the grappling in this fight, whether it's pulling guard in the clinch, whether it's shooting a takedown, whether it's catching a kick and taking Malcolm Gordon down, whether Malcolm Gordon slips on a banana peel and Jimmy Flick dives on top of him. I think once it gets to the ground, I think Jimmy Flick has a massive BJJ advantage and submission advantage. And that's why I'm going to go Jimmy Flick first round submission. I'm going to say first round arm triangle. I just think he's much better on the ground, and I don't trust Malcolm Gordon's takedown defense. And I don't think he's so great on the feet that he's going to go out there and be able to brutalize Jimmy Flick and finish him on the feet, even though maybe he will. Maybe he will, but I just doubt it. I think Jimmy Flick will find a way to get it to the ground, find a way to get a submission. He has 16 wins. Jimmy Flick has 16 wins, 14 via submission. Malcolm Gordon, 7 losses. He's been finished in all 7. Now, only 2 of those are via submission, but still, Malcolm Gordon getting finished in every loss. I think that trend is going to continue. I'm going Jimmy Flick, first round submission, arm triangle. Moving up on the card, we have Jasudavicius versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Priscilla Cachoeira just likes to push forward, throw bombs. She lost her last fight against Miranda Maverick, got dominated in the grappling. 2 fights ago, which was only 6 months ago, Jasudavicius beat Miranda Maverick and just, out-grappled her, outstruck her, had the better cardio as well. And I know MMA math doesn't always work, but I have a hard time even trying to convince myself to pick Priscilla Cachoeira. And also, she's a super dirty fighter, so maybe she'll eye gouge her way to a victory or do something petty to be able to find a victory. But unless she finds like a first-round finish, I don't think she gets it done. I know 2 fights ago, she has a win against Ariane Lipski via KO, which has aged very well, but Ariane Lipski, I think, has gotten much better since then. And I think Jasudavicius will know, let me go out there and grapple. And she has good cardio. I think she's going to go out there, just shoot takedowns nonstop. Jasudavicius had success out-grappling Miranda Maverick. Miranda Maverick had success out-grappling Priscilla Cachoeira. And this is all in like the last year or so. So I don't think their skill sets have evolved that much. They're both very low level. I think Jasudavicius goes out there, out-grapples her, shoots takedowns nonstop. I think Priscilla Cachoeira could catch her with a couple big shots early on, but I think Jasudavicius will eat those shots, continue to press forward, find takedowns. And I'm going to go Jasudavicius 30-27 decision. I think it's going to be a very clear, dominant, out-grappling decision. And I could even see her finding a submission on the ground against Priscilla Cachoeira. So I'm going Jasudavicius, clear, dominant win against Priscilla Cachoeira. Moving up on the card, we have Yohan Lainesse versus Sam Patterson. I think Sam Patterson's one of those Dana White Contender Series guys that's kind of gotten overhyped a bit. He's okay. He has a lot of finishes. He has 9 out of 10 wins via finish. But it's not against the best competition. And I see his chin up in the air in pretty much every fight that I watch. He's backing up with his chin up in the air. He got chinned brutally in his UFC debut against a guy I felt like the UFC was setting him up to beat. And I'm watching Lainesse's fight, and he's fighting a guy like Mike Malott, who's kind of becoming, maybe a top 15 welterweight pretty soon. He got submitted by Mike Malott, but Mike Malott's decent. Win against Darian Weeks, not the greatest, but, it's still okay. And I just think Yohan Lainesse is just a better striker. I think he'll be able to stuff the takedowns. He doesn't have the best defensive grappling, but I just see him out muscling Sam Patterson. I feel like Lainesse can go to war and survive, where Sam Patterson, he's so tall, he's so skinny, he's got his chin up in the air, and I see Lainesse going out there and chinning him. So I'm going to go Yohan Lainesse. I'm going to say first round KO. I think a lot of these Dana White's Contender Series guys come in, They get overhyped because they're from Dana White's Contender Series. They're not that great. The UFC is just looking for warm bodies to kind of fill cards. And I think Lainesse is actually a decent fighter. And I think he's going to go out there and be able to press forward, land good shots, not worry about some elite level grappling coming back from Sam Patterson. And I think he gets it done. I do worry about Lainesse's cardio a bit. He does kind of break under pressure a little bit. But I don't think Sam Patterson's going to be able to go out there and get it done. I think Yohan Lainesse is going to be moving in, throwing big combinations, land right on the chin, and TKO Sam Patterson in the first round. Moving up on the card, we have Gillian Robertson versus Polyana Viana. I feel like this is another grappler versus striker, even though Polyana Viana is actually a decent grappler as well. Gillian Robertson is literally like a grappling specialist. That's all she wants to do. Literally all she wants to do is grapple. Polyana Viana has decent striking, also has decent jiu-jitsu as well. But in her last fight, got submitted by Yasmin Lucindo. Got taken down, got submitted there. Fight before that, beat Jinyu Fry, brutal KO there, where she looked super impressive. Fight before that, lost to Tabitha Ritchie. You know, Gillian Robertson's coming off a loss to Tabitha Ritchie via decision where she kind of got out-grappled and outstruck. But I don't, I could see Polyana Viana getting it done on the feet. I really could. But I don't trust her jiu-jitsu, and I don't trust her takedown defense. And Gillian Robertson will find a takedown. She will just nonstop spam takedowns. She knows, okay, I have to get this fight to the ground and find a submission. So I'm going to go Gillian Robertson via submission. I'm going to say she gets it done in the second round. I'm going to say a second round arm triangle for Gillian Robertson. Viana has decent BJJ, but I just don't trust her at all. She can be controlled. We've seen her taken down and controlled in previous fights. We've seen her against Lucindo, got taken down, controlled, and submitted there via arm triangle. And, Jinyu Fry, not a great win. Tabitha Ritchie, okay, that's not a horrible loss to have. Got taken down in that fight as well. And I just think Jinyu Fray was, didn't have a chin, got chin there, and made Polyana Viana look like a world beater. But you can't base an entire assessment off of one performance. And Gillian Robertson's just out there submitting basically every single one of her wins. She's going out there and getting a submission. So I'm going to go Gillian Robertson. I'm going to say she gets it done the same way as the last person, Yasmin Lucindo, gets it done against Viana. I'm going to say second round arm triangle. I just think she's a better grappler, and I think she'll find a way to get it to the ground. But it would not surprise me if Viana is able to keep it standing and wins on the feet, but I just doubt it. I'm going Robertson to get it done in the second round. Moving up on the card, we have Sidey versus Ramon Taveras. This is actually a rematch from Dana White's Contender Series. This was an early stoppage. This fight should not have been stopped on Dana White's Contender Series. You basically had Raymond Taveras go out there, landing on the feet, piecing up Sidey, and then he got clipped, dropped, and then the referee jumped in and stopped it. It shouldn't have been stopped. And what I saw from that fight makes me pick Taveras. I think he gets it done. I think he's the better striker. I think he has faster hands. I think he goes out there. He's willing to brawl. If he gets clipped, he gets clipped. And maybe that could happen again. But I think he would have survived. He had his feet kind of in play when he was trying to stop, Sidey. I'm mixing up his name. His name is weird. But was trying to kind of get back in play. The referee jumped in way too early. Everyone thought it was too early. He was winning the entirety of the fight up until that point. And so I think he gets it done in this next fight. I mean, he was clipping up Sidey badly in their fight. And I think he's going to do it again. That's why I'm going to go Taveras. I'm going to say second round TKO. I just think he's going to go out there, be a little bit more careful. He realizes, okay, I'm getting an opportunity in the UFC. Because after that loss, he got another opportunity on Dana White's Contender Series. Got the win there, got a finish there. Comes back and is now getting this rematch. I actually love this matchmaking by the UFC. And Sidey hasn't fought since then. So Taveras has fought since then. Sidey hasn't fought since then. Sidey wants to grapple, is okay on the feet, has decent power. He was getting clipped up in that first fight. And I think Taveras is going to clip him up again. And that's why I'm going to go Taveras, second round TKO. Moving up on the card, we have Charles Jourdain versus Sean Woodson. This is an interesting matchup. Both guys, primarily strikers. Both guys, honestly, kind of one of those, I don't even know what to call them. It's like a gatekeeper of the top 25, really. I don't even know if that's an accurate assessment of them, but that's what they feel like. They're decent talents, but they're never going to be really top 15 guys, or at least it doesn't appear. Even though they're both, Charles Jourdain's a little bit younger at 28 years old. So maybe, but I think this is a very interesting fight. Sean Woodson coming off a win over his last fight against Dennis Bazooka, where he just kind of pieced him up, but Bazooka, I think it's Bazooka maybe, or Bazooka, stepped in on short notice. I don't remember the pronunciation of his name, but stepped in on short notice, had some success finding the chin of Woodson. And I know Woodson went out there, outstruck him, out-grappled him a little bit as well. I think Charles Jourdain has excellent pressure, excellent volume, excellent combinations, excellent submission ability as well. And I do wonder because Woodson has a massive reach advantage. I mean, he has a 9-inch reach advantage and a crazy 5-inch height advantage as well in this fight. So that makes this fight really difficult to pick. This is like a tough matchup, but I think it's going to be primarily striking. And I think Jourdain can close the distance. I mean, the Bazooka fight, he was able to close the distance. He had a reach disadvantage as well on Sean Woodson. And Sean Woodson's just so long and lanky. I just feel like he's waiting to get brutally chinned. The fight 2 fights ago, Luis Saldana chinned him and then walked off like it was done. And then that's the only reason that ended up being a split decision, because otherwise Sean Woodson would have got KO'd. So in this fight, I think Charles Jourdain is kind of hitting a stride in his career. I think he's improving. His losses are against Nathaniel Wood and Shane Burgos. Not horrible losses to have. And I know the wins against Kron Gracie and Ricardo Ramos aren't that great, but I'm going to go Charles Jourdain. I'm going to say he's going to chin Sean Woodson. I'm going to pick Charles Jourdain second round TKO. I just see him closing the distance, throwing big shots. I think he has a grappling advantage as well. I could see him maybe hurting him on the feet and then locking up a guillotine. So I'm going to go Charles Jourdain. I think he's going to clip him on the feet in the second round, finish him TKO. I just think the volume of Charles Jourdain, he throws so many shots, I think eventually he'll find the chin and finish him. Moving up on the card, we have Brad Katona versus Garrett Armfield. This was a fight that I had trouble picking. I was flipping back and forth on this fight. Brad Katona, coming off Dana White's Contender Series, kind of wants to grapple, but he will wing wild winging shots. His last fight, Cody Gibson really put pressure on him early and was kind of winning early, but then started to, just eat a lot of wild winging shots and, eventually end up losing the decision. I don't remember the exact scorecard on that one, but had some success with the pressure. Brad Katona, 2-time Ultimate Fighter winner. Garrett Armfield looked decent in his last fight against Kazama, where he went out there, pressured nonstop, threw really good combinations, and eventually finished him. Fight before that, lost to David Onama. Not a horrible loss to have by any means. And he's also 27 years old, so 5 years younger. Has a massive reach advantage. I mean, a 5.5-inch reach advantage for Garrett Armfield. I feel like Garrett Armfield is well-rounded as well. So I think this is a fight that could go either way. But Garrett Armfield also has really good finishing ability, but Katona has showed an excellent chin, excellent durability. Initially I wanted to go Brad Katona. I feel like, Brad Katona has looked decent in his last few fights, but I mean, Cody Gibson, okay, that's an okay win. And then, it's the wins from the Ultimate Fighter, where Garrett Armfield's fighting a little bit better competition than David Onama and Kazama. I think I'm going to go Garrett Armfield. I'm going to go with Garrett Armfield to get it done. Showed like evolutions in his striking in his last fight, showed good pressure, and I feel like pressuring Katona and being able to stuff the takedowns, and Armfield has decent grappling. So pressuring Katona and able to stuff the takedowns and not worried about the takedowns, I think he can get it done. I'm going to go Garrett Armfield via decision. I do wonder because Brad Katona has shown he can go to war and have good cardio, but I think Armfield will be able to get it done. I mean, even on the Ultimate Fighter, I thought Brad Katona lost to Timur Valiev, so he got a kind of a gifted decision there. Maybe he wouldn't have won the Ultimate Fighter without that. Garrett Armfield, I think, goes out there and gets it done. I think he has more power in his hands. I think has a little bit better striking, and I think he can stuff the takedowns of Brad Katona. So I'm going to go Garrett Armfield via decision. I'm going to say it's like a 29-28 razor close decision. Moving up on the card, opening up the pay-per-view main card, we have Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. Absolutely love this fight. Arnold Allen's excellent everywhere. Only recent loss is to Max Holloway, where he actually didn't look bad in that fight. You have Movsar Evloev 17-0, undefeated. This is a very tough fight to pick. I know a lot of people see Movsar Evloev and they just automatically think grappler, and he is primarily grappling heavy, but his striking has been evolving, and he does have some flashy techniques as well. And I think he gets better from fight to fight. And I just think in this matchup, I think Movsar Evloev gets it done just by being the more well-rounded fighter. I think he can mix in the takedowns. I think he has excellent jiu-jitsu. I think he has decent power in his hands. I think Arnold Allen's the better overall striker. But if Movsar gets a takedown or two, even if Allen scrambles back up, Allen's going to be a little bit more weary about the takedown. I think that'll open up the hands of Movsar Evloev. You're looking at the last few fights, beat Diego Lopez. It was on short notice. Look how good Diego Lopez has looked since then. And I know people kind of use that to put down Movsar, but I think Diego Lopez, that win has aged well in my opinion. The fight before that beat the brakes off of Dan Ige on the feet and the grappling. Arnold Allen doesn't have like a real signature win either, even though he has the win over Calvin Kattar. It was due to injury, even though Allen was winning before that. The Dan Hooker win, Dan Hooker is coming down to 45 after a long time. and his chin just did not hold up. And then before that, Sadiq Yusuff, which is a solid win. Don't get me wrong, I think Arnold Allen has more quality wins overall, but I just think Movsar has more tools in the toolbox, and I think he goes out there, mixes it all well together. And I also think Movsar is improving more rapidly. I feel like Arnold Allen has kind of been the same fight to fight, where Movsar Evloev, I feel like I've seen more of an evolution fight to fight. So I'm going to go Movsar Evloev via decision. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think it's going to be a very competitive fight, but I think it'll be a clear like 29-28 decision for Movsar. I think he'll mix in the takedowns, get some control time. I think Allen will scramble back to his feet, land some good shots of his own, but I just don't think Arnold Allen's going to go out there, stuff every takedown, and outclass Movsar on the feet. Movsar's striking has gotten better, and I also think he has decent power as well. So I think Movsar Evloev goes out there, mixes it all together, and I think he gets it done. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. I think it's one of the best fights on the card. I think arguably should be the co-main event, to be quite honest, if we're going in order of fights being actually good skill for skill and relevant to the division. And I think this could be the next contender in 145 pounds if Volkanovski beats Topuria at UFC 298. But I'm really looking forward to that matchup. I just don't think Allen will be able to deal with everything put together by Movsar. And I think Movsar is kind of being underrated because of the performance against Diego Lopez, but people forget he took that Lopez fight on short notice. So I'm going Movsar Evloev, 29-28 decision. Moving up on the card, we have Chris Curtis versus Marc-Andre Barriault. This is a matchup I'm really looking forward to as well. This deserved to be on the main card. This was originally on the prelims. I have to go Chris Curtis. Marc-Andre Barriault, it seems like every fight, he's getting lit up on the feet, but his opponent gasses. Chris Curtis, he's best when the fight goes long. He has really solid cardio, and I know he's had some bad luck in his last few fights. The Nassourdine Imavov fight, he was losing. He was getting boxed up by Imavov. Then there was a clash of heads. Fight before that, lost the fight to Kelvin Gastelum, which was very close. There was a headbutt in there that wasn't caught by the referee. Before that, got a win, a brutal KO win over Joaquin Buckley, who I think Joaquin Buckley is a better striker than Marc-Andre Barriault. So I'm going Chris Curtis. I think Chris Curtis, he's historically always getting second round KOs. And I think he continues that trend here against Marc-Andre Barriault. I'm going Chris Curtis, second round KO. Chris Curtis, excellent body shots, good footwork, good cardio. He's not going to blow himself out as well. You know, I remember in the fight, Julian Marquez went crazy in the first round, lightened up Marc-Andre Barriault, kind of gassed out, got finished in the second, if my memory is correct. Eric Anders is landing good shots on Marc-Andre Barriault. And I know, you know, in that fight he lost, but it was because he started to get tired a little bit. I think Chris Curtis is not going to get tired. I think Chris Curtis has much better boxing. And I think Chris Curtis is going to go out there. I think he's going to find his rhythm. He's a little bit of a slow starter. And I think in the second round, he's going to catch Barriault with a nasty shot. I think he's going to finish him via TKO in the second round. I have to go Chris Curtis in this fight. And I just think, you know, Marc-Andre Barriault just goes out there and just wears guys down, and that's how he wins fights. I don't think it works against a guy like Chris Curtis. I think at one point, I remember looking up some stat, like Chris Curtis has never lost a 5-round fight. He does better the longer the fight goes, and that's kind of the recipe for Marc-Andre Barriault to win. So I think when you kind of eliminate that factor and you look at him skill for skill, it's not like Barriault is going to go out there and take him down. Chris Curtis has shored up his takedown defense. Chris Curtis has excellent boxing. I think he goes out there and chins Marc-Andre Barriault in the second round. Moving up on the card, we have Neil Magny versus Mike Malott. Neil Magny's been trading wins and losses. He's been the gatekeeper of the top 15 of the welterweight division for a while. He's coming off a loss against Ian Machado Gary where he got absolutely destroyed. I think one judge had a 30-24. And, you know, he's fighting a guy in Mike Malott who's 32 years old. This isn't a 2-year-old. So, I don't like this matchup for Neil Magny. I think, you know, he's 36 years old. He's on the decline. He's taken a lot of damage in his last fight. He got a barely close win over Philip Rowe in the fight before that. Lost to Gilbert Burns, got submitted there. Fight against Daniel Rodriguez, he got a submission there, so decent win there. Mike Malott, surging contender, got a good win over Adam Fugit, now getting a step up in competition. Neil Magny historically has been kind of the guy to test kind of the up-and-comers. And Neil Magny, I know a lot of people were talking about, oh, Ian Machado Gary didn't finish him. Neil Magny historically doesn't get KO'd or TKO. Very durable, very good chin. He gets submitted. Neil Magny gets submitted. When he gets finished, when he loses, he typically gets submitted. And Mike Malott has decent submission ability. His last fight got a submission. Fight before that, submission. Fight before that got a TKO. He is a finisher. Mike Malott is a finisher. So I'm going to go Mike Malott in this fight. I think he gets it done via submission against Neil Magny. I'm going to say Neil Magny is going to be trying to clinch up, trying to look for takedowns, and I think he's going to end up in a bad position to end up getting guillotined. I think Mike Malott's going to pull a guillotine, submit Neil Magny in the second round. I just don't think Neil Magny has it anymore. He's a guy that used to be able to expose guys who didn't have the best grappling. And I think in this fight, Mike Malott has good enough grappling to deal with it, good enough striking to land on the feet, and I think he'll be able to find a submission. Neil Magny doesn't have the best jiu-jitsu, and I think Neil Magny will get submitted in this fight. So I'm going Mike Malott, second round guillotine. Moving up on the card to the co-main event, we have Raquel Pennington versus Mayra Bueno Silva for the vacant women's bantamweight title. This is a matchup, honestly, it was really easy for me to pick. I'm going Mayra Bueno Silva. I just don't think Raquel Pennington's that good. She kind of moves forward, has some okay boxing, and, for at least the division, and wants to clinch up, but she ends up in bad positions historically, even in the clinch. She'll, give up her back in the clinch. Her last fight against Ketlen Vieira, I thought she lost. I thought she got bullied in the clinch. I thought she got outstruck, but Ketlen Vieira just didn't have any kind of, she didn't have any urgency in the third round, lost her the fight. I thought Ketlen Vieira should have won that matchup anyway. And then the fight before that, you're looking at Aspen Ladd's winning the third round against Raquel Pennington by taking her down and bullying her in the clinch. Fight before that against Macy Chastone, okay, Raquel Pennington got a submission there, okay, fair enough. But that's a while ago. I don't think Raquel Pennington's that good. I don't think she's that good. And Mayra Bueno Silva coming off a win over Holly Holm. I know it was overturned, but she submitted Holly Holm with a ninja choke. She was walking through Holly Holm's strikes, landing big shots of her own. She clipped Holly Holm with some big shots, and then eventually found a submission in the clinch. Raquel Pennington, kind of her strength is her clinch, and it's not that good. So I think Mayra Bueno Silva will land on the feet. I think she has more power. I think she has excellent kicks, and I think she has really good submissions as well. And I've seen in every single one of Raquel Pennington's fights, she'll be up against the fence, and she'll try to throw shots, and then she'll end up giving up her back against the fence. And that is why I'm going to go Mayra Bueno Silva, first round submission, rear naked choke. I think up against the fence, I think Mayra Bueno Silva will bully her to the fence, or Raquel Pennington may even initiate the clinch. I think Silva will get the better of the clinch. I think she's the bigger fighter. I think Raquel Pennington arguably deserves to be at flyweight, and I think Mayra Bueno Silva will get the back, and I think she'll find a rear naked choke. Wouldn't shock me if she finds a guillotine or a ninja choke up against the fence as well, similar to what she did to Holly Holm. I just don't see a path to victory for Raquel Pennington, and I see a finish for Mayra Bueno Silva. Whether it's a TKO, whether it's a submission, I think it most likely will be a submission. She has a lot of submissions. But I think Mayra Bueno Silva better literally everywhere. Literally everywhere. And, she hasn't lost in a while. It's been over 2 years, and her last loss was against Manon Fior. So that's not a horrible loss to have, who's in title contention, a weight class below. So I have to go Mayra Bueno Silva. I'm going first round rear naked choke. I think she easily gets it done and wins the title against Raquel Pennington. Moving up on the card to the main event, we have Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis for the middleweight title. What a main event this is. And I've been flipping and flopping back and forth on this matchup, but I finally have my pick. I think whoever wins this fight, no matter who it is, whether it's Strickland or Du Plessis, the winner of this fight, we will know by who's dictating forward pressure. Du Plessis does not fight well moving backwards. He doesn't fight horrible moving backwards, but not well. Strickland does not fight good moving backwards either. Not a great counter striker. Moves backwards and kind of flails his arms and kind of looks to deflect shots. It's effective, don't get me wrong, but only to kind of wait out his opponent and kind of wait for his opponent to get tired, and then he turns up the pressure. But Strickland really fights really well when he's moving forward. Look what he did against Adesanya. Adesanya backing up, looking to counter shot the entire time. Strickland wins the fight pretty clearly. But I do think that Adesanya fight was, I don't want to say it's a fluke, because I don't think it's a fluke. I think Adesanya grossly underestimated Sean Strickland, and Strickland was a bad matchup for Adesanya because Strickland's really hard to hit. He moves forward. He does best when he's moving forward, and Adesanya tries to move backwards and just counter strike. And I think Strickland kind of caught Adesanya off guard. So fair play to Strickland. But I think Du Plessis is going to come out. And the physicality of Du Plessis just moves forward, throwing wild winging power shots, coming off the win against Robert Whittaker, where honestly, I think Robert Whittaker was a little bit checked out. And I think he was a little bit dismissive of Du Plessis. Whether they say or not, they're taking him seriously. It's hard for them not to let it get in their heads. And I think Adesanya and Whittaker both took their opponents kind of lightly, and they ended up paying for it. But Du Plessis has proved me wrong time after time. I picked against him. I picked Robert Whittaker. I picked Derek Brunson. I picked Darren Till as well. So I picked against Du Plessis. I think I picked Brad Taveras as well. I've picked against him time and time again. And initially, early prediction for this fight was Sean Strickland. I think he's the more technical striker. I think he's the better boxer. But Du Plessis, unbelievable heart, unbelievable will, unbelievable just desire to go out there and look for a finish. I mean, the guy just presses forward no matter what. You know, I've seen him, you know, it's really weird because when I watch him side by side, I'm like, how is Dricus even in a title fight? He's like the best, worst fighter I've ever seen. It's very hard to explain. But when I look at this matchup, usually I don't take into account like mental warfare. I think Du Plessis has gotten in Sean Strickland's head. And I think Sean Strickland is going to be emotional in this fight, and that's never good. That's never good. You've already seen Eric Nixick tell Strickland that works in Du Plessis' favor. If Strickland goes out there and tries to get into a brawl, he's going to lose this fight. And then I'm looking back at Strickland's matchups. I'm looking at the Israel Adesanya fight. He just pushed Israel Adesanya backwards and outstruck him. That fight was relatively boring outside of the first round. The fight before that against Abus Magomedov, Abus clearly won the first round, was just dominating with forward pressure. Fight before that, Nasruddin Imavov. Now, he pushed forward against Nasruddin Imavov for the majority of the fight because Imavov didn't have the cardio. But in the moments Imavov was pushing forward, Sean Strickland would clinch up and look for takedowns. You look at the Jarrett Cannonier fight, Jarrett Cannonier pushed forward a large portion of that fight. And while it was a very close fight, Jarrett Cannonier kind of landed the better shots by pressing forward and landing good leg kicks and big shots. And then the fight before that got KO'd by Alex Pereira. No shame in that. Alex Pereira, just super technical striker, led him onto a left hook. Honestly, this is a tough pick, but I'm going Dricus Du Plessis by TKO against Sean Strickland. Actually, you know what? Forget TKO. I'm picking Dricus by brutal second round KO. I think Dricus is just going to press forward. Also, I think Dricus has the grappling advantage. I know we talk about Sean Strickland's takedown defense. Abus shot through him, easily took him down, and easily took his back in the first round. Go back and rewatch it if you forgot about it. Now, Strickland scrambled right back to his feet, but I think Du Plessis has really good jiu-jitsu, underrated jiu-jitsu. I mean, look at the way he threw Robert Whitaker to the ground, and then all of a sudden started looking for chokes, looking to lock up chokes. I think whoever dictates forward pressure in this fight wins this matchup, and I don't see Du Plessis with his chin, with his physicality, with his strength, with the way he consistently fights. I think he will press forward, and Sean Strickland, he's very good at avoiding those shots. He kind of moves his arms, uses them to deflect big shots. Du Plessis not coming from super technical angles. He's just winging big power shots. And I think he will find a big shot in those moments where he's pressing forward, and I think he brutally chins Sean Strickland. I think Dricus is bigger. I think he's stronger. And I think the cardio, and I've been a person saying this as well, I think the cardio, even though Dricus' cardio, I've always thought it was bad, I think that narrative is a little bit overblown. And I do believe it had to do with the nose because the way his body language was, and I think he's kind of underselling it. Dricus is underselling it because I do think his cardio is a little bit of an issue, but I do think the body language led us to believe that. I mean, he finished Darren Till in the third round. He finished him in the third round. And no matter what, Dricus is ready to go out there and die. So I think Strickland's going to be emotional going into this fight. I think he may try to brawl. If he does try to brawl, I think Du Plessis wins even quicker, maybe even a first-round KO. And I think Du Plessis is going to march him down. I think Strickland's going to be kind of deflecting some of the shots with his forearms. But I think Du Plessis, where Strickland will think, okay, the combination's done. I think Du Plessis is a guy who throws an extra shot. You know, you think, okay, it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, now he's done. Let's reset. I think Du Plessis, boom, flips his hips, changes stances, and throws like a power left hand and clips Sean Strickland on the chin, puts him down, finishes him off with ground and pound. And also, I think Du Plessis is the superior grappler, and I think Strickland's also kind of small for the weight class in comparison to Du Plessis. Sean Strickland used to fight at welterweight. And I do wonder, because sometimes when you see a guy so motivated like Strickland is, I do wonder, he's in the best shape of his life according to Instagram pictures. I do wonder sometimes it can backfire. You can get a guy super motivated, but I just don't trust the headspace of Sean Strickland. You know, we talked about going into that Alex Pereira fight. Okay, Strickland's got to grapple. He's got to grapple. He's got to grapple. He goes out there, just stands in front of him the entire time and gets brutally chinned in the first round. I don't trust him to do what's best for his game plan going against Dricus Du Plessis. And I think Dricus Du Plessis will make him pay for it. I do think if it goes long, it definitely favors Strickland. If we get to the 4th and 5th round, I think it could favor Strickland. But Du Plessis has excellent kicks to the body, excellent kicks to the legs. And I think that's honestly his best striking techniques are his kicks. We've seen Strickland exposed. He's heavy on that lead leg. I could see Du Plessis chopping the leg similar to Abus Magomedov. And I just think unless Du Plessis just completely blows himself out and gets exhausted and then Strickland puts it on him, I think Du Plessis gets it done. I think he finds a finish. So I'm going Dricus Du Plessis brutal second round KO. I think Strickland's backing up, trying to deflect those shots. One of them lands for Dricus Du Plessis. He puts Sean Strickland down and then puts him out with the follow-up ground and pound and becomes the new middleweight champion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.